Clear skies, everyone. I have privilege today to talk to Carl Wenning. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you. Glad to be here today.
Um, we were talking already, and there is actually Zoom recording, and we decided that there is one topic which would be really nice to talk about, and it's astronomy camp. Um, I have experience with astronomy camp myself, and 30, 30, how many? 38 years ago, I was at beginning of astronomy camp in Czechoslovakia, now Czech Republic. And Carl, what is your experience with astronomy camp?
Well, it's substantial. For the last 3 years, I've been working at a camp up in Michigan, at Three Rivers, Michigan. It's called Camp Eberhart. That program started in 1962. So it's been on the books for a long, long time, and it's run every year since 1962. And 3 years ago, I came in and was basically serving as the curriculum coordinator for that. I'd actually visited other ones previous to that as well, but I had just come in and out. But these were all week long camps. And so our group would get together. We'd have a group of 7 or 8 people, and we would get together and plan over the summer electronically, emails, videos, Zooms, whatever. And then we would get together, make final plans once we got together in Michigan on a Sunday evening. And then we'd go from Monday morning to Friday afternoon. And the sessions would run from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon up to about midnight each night if the sky was clear. And if not, to about 10 o'clock.
Wha- one, so we are talking about your experience. So once again, how many years ago or which year?
Well, let's see, I've been there in 25, 24, and 23. So I've been those last 3 years. This summer's camp
So,
is
so this
coming
is
up
this is actually
mid-July.
very recent
Oh,
experience.
yeah, it's current. It's current. Yeah.
And so these are 1 week long camps, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. What is daily schedule?
Okay. Well, like I say, we start usually around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock because this is, in fact, a 4-H camp. And so students are there overnight and they have the traditional camp activities. There's bow and arrows, and there's skills courses, and they have rowing, and there's ski boating, and, power boating, canoeing, fishing. It's a very outdoorsy sort of thing. So students will be involved with those activities up through around lunchtime, and then shortly after lunch we get the students, and then we have them until about 5:30, which time they break for dinner break, and then after dinner there's a short series of meetings they have. And then by about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, once it's gotten dark again, the kids come back into our possession, so to speak. And then if the sky is clear up there, and it's usually midsummer, the sky tends to be fairly clear. We'll have them from roughly 9:30 until midnight or 1 o'clock. Sometimes the students even will stay after, and they have to ask special permission to stay after midnight. But we do that. And so that goes on from Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, we get them on Friday morning, and we have them for about 3 hours. And then we just kind of finish up all the activities. We hand out awards and certificates, recognitions for different types of activities that the students have completed, and just make everybody feel happy that they had been there. And we do hand out some door prizes as well. So it makes for a very fun final day on campus. So, like I say,
So,
I've been involved in that for 3 years now.
okay. How many attendees are in that camp, and all attendees are visiting those astronomy classes? Is it
Yes.
only?
Oh, okay. Well, the camp holds about 900 students at any one time. And so we restricted to 26. We had 24, but we kept getting pressure, got to increase the number, because people wanted to get in. We've got a waiting list every year. And so the camp this year was $950. Yet there are kids who've come 2 years of running because, they just really enjoy what they do there. But again, we will run about 26 kids this year. Beyond that, it gets really hard because we don't have enough equipment to go around. And we have like 8 telescopes, and ideally 3 kids per telescope. We have, some Dobson telescopes, some 8-inch telescopes. And once you start getting beyond the 24, then, like, what do you do with the extra kids here and there? So 24 is ideal, but we have never had an empty position for the last 3 years I've been there. Every session has been filled to the brim, and we've always had people on a waiting list to get in.
And what is age range of
The
those?
age range runs primarily from about fifth to sixth grade up to around eighth grade.
Okay,
Uh, so
okay.
we actually have an age range, but I think 14 is usually the highest we want to go for that. That would get you a freshman year of high school. But fifth, sixth, and seventh are really the grade levels that we tend to get. There's some eighth graders in there, but I don't recall ever having any high school students in there. So
And
roughly fifth through eighth grade.
okay, so you have less than 3 decades of students. How many instructors do you have?
Typically, we have about 6 or 7, but in reality, I mean, there are 2 of us who do most of the work because others are there to assist. I mean, when we're out there during the evening and doing observing in the evening, I might be working with kids sitting down with laser pointers. So one of the requirements of the campus, students have to be able to point out and identify constellations in the nighttime sky. So I'm tied to that, working with kids one on one. And then we got 8 telescopes sitting out there as well. And so this is when the other staff members come in and they assist with activities during the evenings, how to use your binoculars, how to use your telescopes, just viewing sessions, let them see things. Because we got some of the best equipment available to us. We have go-to telescopes. We have up to 17-inch aperture, 18-inch aperture telescopes, excuse me. We have all the night vision technology that you want. We've got the Pegasus imaging eyepiece and stuff like that. And so the kids are really enthralled to what we can show them. And it's not just show and tell. Again, the large emphasis is getting the kids to use their own telescopes to develop their own skills. But then after they've been doing this for an hour or two, they're going like, "Oh, tired, getting oh, you want to see through an 18-inch telescope? Oh yeah, 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 yeah." And then they're all re-enlivened again, and then away they go, and they have to get rid of them at midnight. I have to send them away, basically. But yeah, it's a very busy place. And then again, the other people who are assisting tend to have specialties. We got one guy who likes to deal with black holes. We got another guy who's really good with astronomical drawings, and he draws pictures and shows kids how to draw lunar landscapes. So he puts a slide up there on the screen, and he shows how with the video board how he actually shades and how he gets the colors and how he puts down the carbonaceous material, and then he'll take a little swab and he'll brush this around. It's just a full technique on how to do it. And it's a great little activity for the kids to learn how to do imaging, and they don't have a camera. They can draw pictures.
And other question which I have to ask is timing,
Mhm.
because you have 1 week and there could be full moon. How you choose which week?
Wisely. We choose wisely. What we do is we try to catch the early week right around the new moon. So within a few days of the beginning of the workshop, the camp, we have a crescent moon in the evening sky. Everybody wants to see the moon,
Mm.
but we wouldn't want to do this under a full moon because we have to point out the constellations and bright stars. And let's admit, you got a full moon out there, it ain't going to work. So what we do is we choose the week, and it usually, like last year, as we got together on the last day, what we did is what's the dates for next year. We plan that as a group, and so that's moon phase is something that's critically important. So the workshop's always in July, or the camp's always in July, but we move it from the early July to mid July just to accommodate the moon. So yeah, it is consideration.
Okay, okay. If I would be in that range, what I should do as a potential attendees?
Actually, most of the kids come to us are very well versed in astronomy. We had a young lady from California. For 2 years, she came to us. And every year, I mean, she was just a dynamo. She knew everything. There was nothing we could tell her she didn't already know. And a lot of the kids come in like that. And so a lot of the kids are craving hands-on opportunities. So we do activities with light. We do activities with binoculars. We do telescopes. We build optical benches. We build take-home telescopes. Everybody has their own telescopes. So what we have done is accumulated over these last couple of years lots of hands-on activities for the kids. And the camp, let's admit it, doesn't pay for most of the materials. The members who lead that do. Members who lead this, we contribute altogether about $1,000 of equipment and materials for the kids. And it's just because we want to. We want to have a good camp for the kids. So, the first day of the class is going to be telescopes and binoculars. Guess what? Every kid gets a binocular to take home. And every kid has access, groups of 3, to a telescope. And then we do optical bench activities with them. So, and we're working with lenses. I mean, kids hear about this stuff, they've never seen it work. How's a telescope work?
Oh, how many benches do you have? One bench or what?
Oh, we got a huge place called Dave's Center. It's Dave's house, and we have it's literally used for stage plays. But we have tables which we paid for last year. We bought a whole bunch of tables. These are conference benches, tables. We got benches. We've got individual chairs. We've got a big stage up there. So we've got pretty ideal setting up there. And over the last couple of years, there was a big donation 2 years ago that provided us with new video projectors, room darkening curtains, all the tables and stuff like that. I'll tell you, the money came from the group itself who runs this, because these people have been doing it for years. And, let's admit these people are a little bit older. They're pretty well heeled financially. And so dropping $500 here or $1,000 there doesn't mean a whole lot to these people. So it's organized by people who really care and really enjoy working with kids. So, some of our activities are quite simple too. Like we spend a whole day working on stars and star maps and constellations. And, we do storytelling with the kids around the campfire. That's always a favorite sort of thing with the kids. How does you use a star map? How to use different types of coordinates? Like, do you have a coordinate system, right ascension and declination? These kids, though they might be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, grab this stuff pretty well. They seem to have a good hand understanding it. And we play games with the kids too. I mean, we coerce them into such questions as, is the earth really flat? Or maybe it's round? Or does the earth move? Or does it go around the sun? Does it spin on its axis? And we confront them with this stuff. And we put them into what we call cognitive dissonance. So I do a demonstration on the non-motion of the earth. Aristotle came up with 5 or 6 classical proofs for the non-motion of the earth. And I go through all this with the kids. And guess what? There's not a single kid who can refute that. And because today, when they get their education, they're told what to believe, and they don't know why to believe what they believe. And so what we do is we challenge them. And then in the end, by the time this experience is over, those kids ought to know.
What do you do? Critical thinking.
That's it. Critical thinking, absolutely. And evidence-based judgment based on decisions. So we do demonstrations relative to rotation, revolution.
I have to think about, so basically you have camp with all the logistics, with let's say 900 people, less than 30 kids are in that astronomy camp art, and there are many, many more people in waiting list. How did you choose those students or those?
First come, first serve.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
we open up the registration in January. So, yeah.
You have to then send me website or URL where to sign in, and it should be under
one problem, video. Joseph, you're a little bit too old for this, Joseph.
I know, but still, some viewers, they should know.
Yeah, they should. It's fun. And Illinois State, excuse me, not Illinois State, but the state of Illinois, we had intended to have our own Astro Camp here this year. And we were dealing with insurance coverage for it, and that kind of put the nix on it. So we're changing the way we offer it, but we're going to probably offer this in 27, during the summer of 27. And it's going to be an adult child astronomy camp. And it's all planned, ready to go. We got all the materials, all the resources. We just didn't have all the proper insurance coverage. There's demands that are made to us. But I found a way around the insurance. And so next year, we're going to run our own shop here. It'll be a 4 weekend. So it'll be alternating Saturdays. and it would be adult child. You have to have every child has to have an adult accompaniment. That's helpful because we're not an overnight camp. And so, but we don't want to take the responsibility of having to worry about, the litigious situations that occur around working with kids. So parents got to be there with the child.
Which
Or
I believe that's
yeah,
a wonderful idea, sort of family type of
it
camp.
is. And so many parents they need a way to talk to their kids. I've seen it so often. Parents just they're two ships in a night. The kids and the parents are not connecting. But if you give them something of common and mutual interest, and they've got something to talk about, my God, you can develop wonderful relationships between kids and their parents. And that's part of what I see is what we're going to do. I'm leader of that camp, and that camp came about because of my experiences working up at Michigan for the last 3 summers, but it also came about because of my writing about the camp and thinking about what we're doing. And I finally realized what we're doing. We have a wonderful opportunity here because we don't have a 4-H camp like Camp Eberhart up in Michigan, but we can still do it. It's just have to find new ways and new techniques. And so here it is, alternating weekends, and it'll go from 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
And
And
true is that nowadays it's really difficult with light pollution and how where we
yeah,
live. It's very difficult for
yeah.
people
Well,
to see the
yeah,
sky.
but ideally, we are at Funks Grove Nature Spaces, which is a nature conservancy outside of town here. We're about 10 miles from town, and we have 2 observatories there. So one of our observatories is 18 by 24 roll-off roof, where we have 4 big telescopes in there, and then we also have a domed observatory, a 10-foot ash dome up there with a 11-inch CPC. So we've got all the resources we need. And, because the Astronomy Club does a lot of talks, we have a lot of demonstration materials. I was helping the director of the camp this summer. He came by my house a couple of weeks ago to pick up stuff to take up to the camp because I'm not going to be there this year. I'm going to be in Alaska, unfortunately. And he took 4 huge 55-gallon tubs with him filled with demonstration materials that I've accumulated over the years. And so that's the sort of stuff that you need to invest in. And again, people who come up there and give those talks bring their own stuff. They're teachers, they're scientists. They just grab stuff and bring it along. So we bring in a lot of outside resources as well. And one of the things we do too, I do in terms of the fourth theme, because I mentioned that we do telescopes, we do stars, constellations, we do sun, earth, moon, but then we also do one called stars and starlight. And there we get the kids all set up with things like diffraction gratings and emission tubes, and you help them understand the spectra. And now in coming years, we'll be using our spec. We'll be taking spectra. In fact, I'm going out tonight to take a spectrum of Vega. It's already my plan for this evening. And then I can develop these repositories of resources that we can use this stuff to do some of the software activities with the kids as well.
And
So,
true is that actually, if we would be talking about science, astronomy, it's actually about most of the time spectroscopy.
yeah,
This is how the time on big
yeah,
telescopes is spend to
yeah.
take spectra.
Yeah, and what's neat, we always give kids diffraction grading. I can buy a bundle of 50 of them for around $20. And that's what I contribute to. And I buy them every year off of Amazon and give them away to the kids. And we give out the little red flashlights, the red filtered astronomy flashlights. They get those for about $2 a piece in bulk. I buy the batteries. I just give them away to the kids as well. The kids, some of these kids are starving for materials. Like, oh, you got a clipboard. Oh my gosh, can we keep the clipboard? Yeah, you can keep the clipboard. I don't care. So we give away a lot of stuff to these kids. Now, you kids usually, leave the camp. They got telescopes, they got binoculars. These are things, the telescopes they built, binoculars that were given, all their worksheets. We have about, 35, 40, 50 pages worth of worksheet activities we do with the kids because kids are held to a high degree of accountability and you have to work in small teams to get the work done. And again, the kids are all working for observational records. They're trying to, I've seen 15 constellations and I've identified 10 stars. We give
So
out certificates for that
you
sort
you
of thing.
said you said teams. What is typical task for team, or how they are
Oh,
working, how they cooperate?
yeah, it depends on what they're working on because sometimes they work in small groups to learn constellations. That's one thing. So, before I work with the kids, okay, point out the constellations, I put them together in small groups. and say, okay, you guys go here, look at the eastern sky. What constellations could you find? Help each other. Use your star map. Use your red filter flashlight. Use the laser pointer because we give a laser pointer. Point out the constellations. Get to know them. Talk with one another. And when you know what those constellations are, when you know what those star names are, you come to me and you prove to me you know them. So I'm going to sit you down with a laser pointer, and then you're going to point out all this stuff to me. And so that's small group activity. Telescope working, you've got a list of observing activities you've got to get completed. We start them off very very early in the day, with the telescope. It's early afternoon, and we do such things as switch out the eyepiece, and the kids are working in small groups of three. And we're on a lake up there. We're on a lake, and say over there, there's a boathouse. See the boathouse, and is the boathouse turned upside down? Is it back to back? How is it? Then we talk about the mirror reflections and stuff, how you use a finder scope. And the kids are challenged and are given worksheets of things that they've got to complete. So that's what it tends to be when they work in small groups. They have an activity that they're required to complete. Now, people might ask, well, what kind of activity do you do? Well, if people want to set up their own camp or even to investigate the materials, they should get in contact with me and I'll be glad to share what I've got. I don't care. I've created this stuff. I was a planetarium director as early as 1978. So I've been in the astronomy education field for a long, long time. And I've developed a huge amount of materials. And so I'm willing and ready to share this with people if they
Um,
want to use
and
them.
and again, I have to ask you about those small groups. So let's say that you have small groups of three people, 7, 8, or
Mhm.
something like that. So each group has supervisor, or there is one or two supervisors, or
No,
how
there's
it
typically
does.
6 or 7 faculty there. So we go around. We don't attach ourselves to a particular group. We just go from group to group to group to group. We just tend to mingle. So,
Okay.
sometimes, I like him because he likes black holes, or I like him because he knows all about spectroscopy. So kids develop their favorites. And so when I'm walking by, some group may, they don't want to talk to me, but they want to talk to the other guy who knows about black holes now. So, they develop favorites. Favoritism is there, and clearly this gives them an opportunity to approach different individuals. And, we have the kids sometimes get up, stand up, and give presentations. We are really geared towards educating the whole student. So if we can get kids to get up, give a talk, tell us about what you've done, stand them up in front of the crowd, give them an opportunity to do a little bit of talking. It's all impromptu, right up, no planning. You just get up and you do it. So we're trying to educate the whole student in these programs. I think kids who walk away from these programs are a lot better for having attended that in many different ways. Self-control, self-mastery, you know, classroom discipline, something we observe there. Kids get out of control, we control it. I'm a teacher. I was a little high school teacher, okay? So I've taught high school, I've taught middle school. And when the kids get rowdy, I have no trouble telling them to settle down.
So do you have returning students, returning every year, or
We do. We like I said, we had one young lady for the last 2 years out of California. And some of these kids are interesting because some of these kids are enrolled in activities all summer long up there. I don't know. Maybe it's a babysitting service. I don't know what to call it that, but I mean, the kids are taken care of from Sunday to Monday, and or Monday to Sunday or whatever. And parents come and pick them up, and then they return them for the next camp because each camp has its own different themes. So you can every kid who comes to that camp up there can do 3 themes each term,
so
and
and
it's a
and
week long
but
thing.
if we are talking about camp, we means like 1 week set of activities, and in this case, it's astronomy, and they can have, I don't know, fishing
That's
camp,
right.
so
They've got
they doing
fishing
one
and
week
all the
fishing
other stuff.
and
And maybe they just want to do it. Maybe they want to do skiing. You can do skiing out there on power boats all summer long if you want. So
okay.
as long as they're willing to pay $950, hey, it's babysitting. I mean, let's admit it. A lot of parents do that. I suspect most of these kids are pretty well heeled. We do have a few scholarships, I understand, where we try to bring in kids who can't afford it financially. But that's something that we have built into our own camp here. We have already identified a number of kids who we're planning to let in this year, totally free, because they can't afford it. I know the parents. People have pointed out this person's very, very interested, but they can't afford it. Could you get them in? Yeah, we have a scholarship. So we charge a little bit more money than is required to run the program, but we use that money to pay for the materials for the kids whose parents can't afford this. So, it's not just for the rich kids. Yeah, we try to get everybody involved. I mean, would that we could do better than that, but there's only so much of us to go around, unfortunately.
And so there is other question actually the logistic and finances, everything is the big 900 people camp, and you guys as a astronomy instructors, you are providing just the teaching astronomy. That's it.
Just that.
You are not
Like I say,
you are not involved in the logistics, money management, and all that other stuff.
no, that's all handled by the professionals who do it every day of the week. So,
Okay.
what we are charged with is you got the kids from 2 o'clock until midnight. You deal with it. We just make sure they get up here to get supper. That's it. I mean, that's our connection with the camp. So, I mean, I know a large number of the camp personnel because my 3 years up there, but they're very cooperative and they tend to give us pretty much anything we want. So we've been very happy to work up there at Camp Eberhart, Three
Okay.
Rivers, Michigan.
So again, if I would be in that age, I wish.
Mm.
So I could go either to Michigan, maybe to Illinois, and
Mm-hmm.
do
I hope
you
to have
have
it next summer here.
any?
Well, here, Joseph, this is an invitation to you as well, to any of our listeners out there. We are in need of people who are willing to help. Now, if you want to drive down here every other weekend from Minnesota, you're welcome to do that. But that's
Well,
the drawback. But even for a weekend to come and present something that's your area of expertise and just assist for the weekend, we'll put you up and take care of you. So again, like I said, we don't make any profit on this camp by and large. It pays our bills essentially.
okay. So
But
what I hear, you would provide me tent or some accommodation for me,
eh,
instructor.
in our house, because I've traveled quite a bit internationally over the years, we have faculty members from foreign countries come live with us from time to time in my
Oh,
house.
okay.
So literally, because most of those people have come from Indonesia, because I used to work in Indonesia. I've been working in Indonesia 4 times over the years. And I've gotten to know so many Indonesians, and they come here and they live with us. I have a room in my basement. It's got office, it's got washroom, it's got a laundry room, it's got a kitchenette, it's got a family room, and it's got a wet bar, as well as its own bedroom. And we call it Indonesia House.
Oh,
So yeah, you can stay there.
thank you for the offer. What I hear is it's your activity. My question was like the camp itself. If camp is providing some accommodation for instructors, and
Yeah, yeah, they
maybe don't
cover all
want.
that because it's a big place. I
Oh,
mean, my first 2 years, my accommodations were in the infirmary. They actually have an on-site hospital, and I was in a hospital bed for the first 2 years. But yeah, last year I got into a lodge.
okay.
So hey, we're moving up.
Well, it looks like there is a lot of fun in summer in Michigan, and maybe it will be in 2027 in Illinois as well.
Illinois.
And hopefully we will see more astronomy
Yep.
camps in
Yeah.
in our region.
And the thing that's important to remember too is, I'm getting a little bit older. I'm 73 years old. And, how long can I continue this? I don't know. Most people I know have kind of cashed out by the time they're 65 years of age. I'm 73 and still going. I'm still teaching astronomy. My dean pulled me over the other day from Heartland Community College, where I'm teaching now. How long can we count on you? I said, well, at least until 80. But I have a friend who's 86 and he's still teaching. So, hey, you never know. But the younger generations need to get involved because, can't leave it all up to 70 and 80-year-old people. We're going to run
And
out after a while.
And I'm sure sooner or later they will do. And true is that to see sky and stars from middle of woods and nature is the best possible way how to be involved. Carl, it was great to talk to you.
It's
Clear
a pleasure to be here.
skies.
Thank you. Thank you very much.